The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
this is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the BS Report Emergency Edition, and this is dramatic. We've merged the BS Report with the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. This is like, I don't even know what are the parallels here?
I think it was Wyclef Jean when he was like, someone dial 911. We needed a pod immediately. I knew you were going to want to put us to work today, especially at the end of that Celtics game.
We were on our way to lunch.
Night.
Jacoby,
I was excited about lunch.
Translate that to white man. Dave Jacoby here, Jalen Rose here. We were headed to lunch to Jalen's favorite place, which we won't mention. And instead we decided to just do a pod because there's a lot of NBA stuff going on. I'm not on our ESPN show tomorrow.
What's up with that? Where you going to be?
They're making me do something. They're making me do this.
You playing hooky already?
Where are they making you go?
Well, Las Vegas. But
Oh,
still,
yeah.
They're making me go.
Okay.
They're making me go.
Yeah, I'm sure they're making you put like
very upset about
$4,000 on the Patriots, too.
Vegas trip. What? You can bet on sports there? I didn't have any idea. But yeah, so big Celtic game last night. I was expecting a big effort. Biggest game of the year for the Celts. So they go into that. They're 16-17. The only thing they really have left in this whole godforsaken season is they own the Knicks during the Paul Pierce era. They just feel like this is a team they have had a lot of success over. Pierce loves playing there. They have to maintain that in this game. Doc plays KG 38 minutes. Pierce is locked in. They go all out. They win the game. Jalen, stuff happens.
It does.
Things happen during the game.
They do.
Explain how those things can happen.
There are a few things that are off limits. You could call me a name. Like growing up, I was always a skinny kid. I had bad teeth, and I had bad skin. So people always tease me about those things. I got used to them. And every now and then when somebody crossed the line, I give them a two-piece. But in the NBA, it's a little bit different. You could talk about my game. I don't have a left hand. I'm having a horrible game.
You've got a great left hand.
Our team is terrible. But when you call me names and or talk about somebody that's close to me, right now as we do this emergency pod, there's a trending topic, and it's called Honey Nut Cheerios.
Now,
Okay. Explain to me, Bill, the Honey Nut Cheerios thing.
well, first of all, if you had just said, this is like NBA Mad Libs, where you just say, it's Tuesday, trending, Honey Nut Cheerios, Kevin Garnett is involved, go. I would have been like, hey, it would take me 35 minutes to come up with a guess.
Top of my head, I would say threw a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios at Rajon Rondo.
Oh,
Top of my
interesting.
head. That's just, look, I'm just telling you, it's like a Rorschach test.
Team
First,
breakfast
top
dinner.
of my head, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I would have said fight, Cheerios somehow were thrown in. Yeah, I guess that is
food fight.
So I guess here's what happened. KG and Carmelo, it got really heated, and then the fourth quarter got super duper heated, and there was a moment like with 3 minutes left, KG was trying to post up Carmelo, and Carmelo was throwing the hard elbow into his back, which is like, you'll see from time to time, but sometimes guys will go overboard, and it's like a nice way to cheap shot somebody.
And also the Celtics were doing a good job of putting Carmelo
Switching
in
it
pick
so
and
he was,
rolls
so he was on
with
KG.
Paul Pierce and KG.
Yep.
And instead of fighting over or going under,
Right.
now you're stuck on a 7-footer. KG forced to guard him on the post while you're having a 6-for-26 shooting night.
Right.
So that breeds a lot of frustration.
KG been doing a lot of talking the whole game. Jacoby didn't see it.
His whole career, his whole life.
Well, we're going to go into that. So
The Bachelor was on.
at some point, we're going to go into that too.
Yeah.
At some point, he crosses the line, and Carmelo is obviously just mad and playing like a man who is just really, really angry. This whole elbow thing happens. They call foul, timeout. You see him dropping the F-bomb, and he's really, really angry. And at that point, I'm watching going, oh, KG did something. He crossed the line. Because this is what KG does. KG, everybody talks. KG has the reputation of he is the guy who will say the thing that other people will not say, right? And this is the
Charlie
case when you play.
Villanueva is an example of that.
Right.
Sure. Let me ask you a question, Chandler, because David Lee was sitting in that exact chair, and he said, the first couple of years in the league, you play against Kevin Garnett, and he flusters you, and then you start to realize, oh, this is his thing, and then what David Lee started doing is telling the rookies on his team, listen,
prepare them.
Kevin Garnett's going to talk about you, just keep your mouth shut and just pretend it's in a different language. Now, I imagine that at this point in his career, Carmelo Anthony knows this. What could KG have said that made Carmelo Anthony spaz?
Some of the things that are off limits, in no particular order, because some people have all three of these.
This is not a power rankings. This is a list.
No.
Okay.
Wives, girlfriends, fiancés, kids, moms,
Nobody
grandmas.
would say anything about a kid, right?
Did you hear what
I
he said
don't
about?
even think
Did you hear what he said about Charlie Villanueva?
You got to think
I don't
about it
even
like
think KG
this.
would do that.
Let me frame it for you guys. If I'm on the free throw line in this Game 6 of the NBA Finals, and I could say something to this guy at the line that's going to make a miss, I win a championship, I would say it. So think about it that way. A lot of times people want athletes to have that gladiator mentality. They don't like when athletes do too much fraternizing and shaking hands and not caring about the loss. Well, here's the opposite of that. And when somebody crossed the line like KG allegedly did with Melo by saying that his wife smells or tastes
like
honey
smells.
nut Cheerios.
I think he said smells.
Allegedly, that's gonna blow a guy's fuse.
Well, we can at least say with certainty, we know the two touch points for any NBA feud. I've written this a million times. You concur, even though we had never known each other before I came up with this theory. Women and gambling are the two things that start just 99.9% of the NBA feuds, right? Some sort of common girl, some sort of insult about a girl, or we were gambling or something happened and you owe me this and you didn't pay me.
And let me dumb it down to everybody out there listening, because it's not just in the NBA. It's a lot of times the culture and the testosterone of a man. You're messing with my money and or you're messing with my mate.
Right.
Like I tell friends all of the time, say you sitting around at a happy hour.
Okay.
Young lady sitting 2 chairs away from you. She has on a ring. Leave her alone.
You have to tell your friends that?
You have to tell that to men, period.
Who are you hanging out with, Jalen?
You have to tell that to men and women. It's both ways.
All right.
And because what ends up happening is that person's mate, more than likely, a lot of people do and say things they would never do and say in front of their mate. True?
I would say
not true in my case.
Not true.
No, for my friends. Yeah, my friends. My friends have that problem.
Okay.
Kobe's got a great union.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So with that being said, you have to respect that union. And a lot of times when that line gets crossed, like it allegedly was crossed between Kevin Garnett and Carmelo Anthony during the Celtics at Knicks game, a heated rivalry, both on the East Coast. The Knicks have right now with the Celtics won. They've been a headline in the East.
See, I would argue the reverse.
Oh no!
I think the Knicks have what the Celtics have what the Knicks want. The Celtics are still the champs of that division. They're still the big guns. Knicks have to go through them.
It's hard to make that case, Bill.
But records do not matter in this case. They still have to beat the Celtics in the playoffs.
Who's your team?
The Celtics.
Sure.
The Knicks don't want what they have, Bill. They're a 500 team. And now allows you to cut your beard
But you're
off.
talking about right now. Yeah, that's right. I do get to cut my beard off.
They were
We're
playing
500.
without
That's why you're not on the
Rondo.
show tomorrow, because of the beard.
Yesterday was the most important game in the season for the Boston Celtics.
Now, you said that
But I would
earlier,
agree-
and it didn't make sense to me.
No, we'll explain.
Please
But
do.
then we're going to go back to KG. They lose that game. They lose the last thing they have, which is this little power over the Knicks. They've owned that division since the 07-08 season. We're now in year 7. Years 08, 9, 10, 11, 12. Year 6 of the KG era. They've been the big bad boys of that division. It's a little bit like the Pistons in the mid-2000s when LeBron was coming on. The Pistons knew, this guy's coming. We got to.
Yeah.
And it was a thing. The Celtics knew last night, you lose that game in New York, now you have nothing. Now you're a below 500 team. You're 8 games behind
That
the
plays
Knicks.
the Heat tough
They
once in
know
a
they
while.
can beat you. The last thing you had is this little hold over the Knicks that you can beat them anytime it matters. And they did it again.
Trust me, on the plane leaving New York, there were a lot of adult beverages being passed amongst Celtics players, coaches, and management saying, we're going to be just fine, guys.
Right.
We're going to get Rondo back healthy. We got Bradley back in the lineup. We know that if we get the Knicks in a 7-game series, that we could beat this team.
Well, they still have Paul Pierce owns the Knicks for whatever reason. He's his favorite team to play against. Loves playing in New York.
I think he likes MSG.
He just loves MSG. He's always good there. And if you ask any diehard Knicks fan, and I'm fortunate to be friends with a few of them because they're great basketball fans. I love talking to them. They're all terrified of Paul Pierce. They know. He's 35. He's slowed down a step. He's got the old man pickup game like Jalen. A lot of up fakes, a lot of one-sets, a lot of but it still works. And he's mastered it, and he's great at it against the Knicks.
And this season, the Knicks are a better basketball team than the Celtics.
Yes.
Carmelo Anthony is playing.
Well, I would say they've played better.
Playing better.
They're playing better.
No,
I don't know if they're better.
No, they're a better team.
If you look at the rosters, just the rosters, not the body of work that they've put in this year, would you still say that?
They got an all-star point guard, one of the top in the league.
Who are you talking about?
Rajon Rondo.
Oh, you're talking about the Celtics.
You're talking about Celtics.
Yep.
Okay. I was like, Felton?
They have 2 future Hall of Famers, but for an 82-game span, they're not going to bring it 35.
Well, no, but I'm saying
like
for
that.
a 7-game series, I don't know if they're a better team yet. I need to see more from the Knicks. I need to see if their old guys stay healthy.
I think
need
if
to
the
know-
Knicks get back Iman Shumpert and they were to play against the Celtics in a 7-game series and they had home
Iman
court
Shumpert-
advantage,
Shumpert's gonna
I would
help.
have to pick the Knicks.
But don't you have to worry about, you look at Carmelo last night, he became old Carmelo that everybody said wasn't that he's not that Carmelo anymore. He shares the ball. He takes better shots. He was jacking it. He was fired up, hogging the ball, jacking it. It was exactly the kind of stuff everybody said he wasn't doing anymore.
I'm going the other side with that. I'm saying if you look at Carmelo last night, you say, yeah, you beat us by 6, and Carmelo had a terrible night.
We didn't have Rondo.
That's a good point.
We had no Rondo. And here's the other thing. Avery Bradley, I've been saying this all year, nobody realizes how good he was except for a few people who are actually watching, because nobody was really watching the Celtics in March and April. He turned into a really good guard.
He's a very good on-ball defender.
Really good guard.
He's one of those players that I will have to catch the ball on a wing with a live dribble, do a hard jab step, and pull the ball through with my elbow and try to break his jaw. Because he gets that close to you
Right.
as an all-ball defender. That's the only way you could get that guy off of you. Like, you remember the play when J.R. Smith and he
Yeah, they
bumped
collided.
heads?
Yeah.
The only reason why that became a foul is because they bumped heads. He was about to steal the ball from J.R. Smith. You don't normally see that in an NBA game where a guy is out contesting the ball handler 75 feet away from the basket.
And that's what there was a game last year when Jameer Nelson, and I'm not even kidding, could not bring the ball up over him. They had to have the shooting guard, I think it was J.J. Redick, he had to bring the ball up because Jameer Nelson's like, I can't do it. He's picked me 3 times. And so the Celtics have been bad defensively. Bradley is their best defensive player. He's even, I would say it's him and KG. On top of that, he makes corner threes. And then the other thing, Zach Lowe wrote about this today for Grantland. He kind of runs back and forth on the baseline and gets these little sneaky layups, backdoor layups, like you lose attention for a second all of a sudden. And the way that team is spread out, you have the big guys around the foul line because they're shooting jumpers. Rondo's at the top. Pierce is floating around on either side. You have that guy who's kind of going back, and now the whole team falls into place and there's real balance. That 5-man lineup with Garnett, Bass, Pierce, Rondo, and Bradley was a really effective lineup last year. So now I've gone from being out on this team. They've won 3 straight. Now I'm thinking
But I got
we're
to
only
pump
6
your brakes,
back.
Celtics fan.
All right, pump my
All
brakes.
right.
Pump my brakes.
Raymond Felton wasn't playing.
Nope.
They just got back Amari. They're trying to figure out how to work him in. And the reason all of this actually happened was that Rasheed Wallace was not playing.
Oh, explain your Rasheed.
Yeah.
I've heard this theory, and it's a great one.
Had Rasheed been playing, 1, he would have been guarding KG.
2,
So Melo would not have had to.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's somebody that likes to get under KG's skin also. And that battle would have been between those 2 guys.
Carmelo's not involved.
Yeah, KG
Melo would not have been involved.
KG's just looking for a target, and he would have zeroed in on Rashid.
Yes.
But
That's
here's the thing,
interesting.
though, with Rasheed. He hasn't played for 3 years, and he played for a month, playing 13 minutes a game and got hurt.
And he used to play for the Celtics.
Well, no,
That's
he
what's
did.
going to make things more interesting when he inserts himself into this rivalry.
But see, here's the part I don't get with that is I think the Celtics all loved Rasheed, even though he was 20 pounds overweight that whole season and was an absolute abomination and probably cost us the finals. Yeah. It seems like they all love him. Now, if you had a teammate that you love, but now they're on the other team, but you love talking, isn't there there's boundaries at that point, right? Like you're not going to cross the line if you like each other.
Those guys know each other so well. And also, these are seasoned veterans that respect the game. For all of the youngsters out there listening, there's something to be done to be an NBA veteran of 10 years plus. You have to have staying power. You have to know what buttons to push in your own game, your own personality, with your teammates, with your coaching staff, with the media. It's business. It's professional sports. You go to practice. You go to gyms all of the time, YMCAs. You see certain players, you be like, wow, he could play in the NBA. But you don't think about all of the things that come with it. The players that you're describing, Rasheed Wallace, Kevin Garnett, these guys get it. Carmelo Anthony, this year in particular, he gets it.
Well, we thought he got it. We thought he got it, but this is the big storyline of the game for me. Here's Carmelo as MVP candidate.
He's going to have a 50-point game versus the Celtics this year.
All right, well, that's what I was getting to.
That's not going to happen.
So,
just throwing that out there.
Point number one, terrible last night. They needed him in that game. That was a game where you rip out the Celtics' heart and you take it, and that's it. They're done. They start making trades. They're in the lottery. He couldn't do it.
That's why I said it's the biggest game of this.
That's what I was curious about.
Point two, KG got under his skin. Now, that's a thing now that becomes a thing, not just this week, but they play again on January 24th. He's coming to Boston. The fans are going to be trying to get under his skin that whole game. He goes from the Boston fans had no opinion on Carmelo Anthony and like, oh, he's a nice guy. He's fun to root against, to, ooh, we can get this guy. KG got under his skin. Now we're going to do it. And people don't give a in Boston.
Yep.
They will cross any line, and they will do that with Carmelo.
If you own a grocery store outside of the Garden in Boston, you definitely just called your supplier and you were like, can you double my input of Honey Nut Cheerios for the next 2 weeks?
Can I get the small boxes?
Yeah, the small boxes, yeah.
See, here's the thing with fans in 2013 with the implementation of social media. By the time those two teams play, you know how when you go to Pittsburgh and you see terrible towels?
Yeah.
I know you guys were just joking about the Honey Nut Cheerios thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there are going to be boxes being waved.
Yes.
Yeah.
In
I'm
the
not kidding.
stands
That was not a joke.
when New York goes to play at Boston.
And what do we, this is like almost, and by the way, I don't think it's totally fair that just a blog can run a story.
And people
and
think
it's so much
a real
more,
thing.
it's so fun of a story that we're all like, oh, well,
It's
screw it, let's talk about it.
Make the point that we have no idea if this is
We
real.
have no idea if it's true.
No idea.
Although we do know that KG said something under his skin. This goes back to something we started talking about earlier. This was his fatal mistake because sometimes he pushes too far. He did this, and I wrote about it at the time. He did it with LeBron in Game 5 last year. He apparently, and I had heard this when it happened, went so deep in on LeBron, whatever he said, that it drove LeBron to the game he had in Game 6, where he was just like, all he wanted to do was beat this team that was bullying him. He's being bullied by the Celtics, verbally bullied. That's where it gets hard to defend because I don't like bullying in any form, and it seems like KG was bullying him.
What's the most upset you've ever been on a basketball court?
The most upset I've ever been wasn't necessarily at the other opponents, really.
What's the most upset you've been?
It was when Chris called the timeout. That was the most upset he's been.
This is true.
The coaches freaking told him.
That's
we don't have any timeouts left.
That's true. In the pros.
What about an opponent that got under your skin?
No, Jay, you weren't getting under Jalen's.
I talk trash.
Watch Jalen?
Yeah, I was the trash talker. I was the instigator. So I really can't name a player that I kind of went back and forth with that ended up being an enemy of mine. Mm-hmm. Like Gary Payton, we're friends, but we had times when we played against each other, and if you heard us talk, you would think it's two sailors at 3 a.m.
So that
on the ship.
That's a good example because Gary Payton was kind of the KG of that generation.
He was.
Talked all the time, crossed every line, right? Did anything he could to get in somebody's head.
I got to give you guys the difference. Whether you're at the park, the YMCA, the backyard, a rec center, here's two different types of trash talk. There's the fun trash talk, and then there's the volatile trash talk, the anger.
By the way, I'm fun trash talk.
Yeah, fun trash talk.
I'm not into the volatile trash talk because I can't fight.
And Gary Payton.
Yeah.
Those are two trash talkers that I played against that are probably the most volatile.
Yeah.
At what they say, to the point where, yeah, you may want to fight them. And obviously that happened with Melo yesterday. If KG did say what he allegedly said, I have no problem with Carmelo's reaction. But as a former NBA player, who, by the way, we make careers with our hands and our fingers, and that's how we eat, an NBA player 99.9% of the time doesn't want to fight anybody.
No. Can I give my theory about why Carmelo went to the bus? I've got a theory.
Hold me back.
I've got a theory.
Hold me back.
During the game, he was like, I'll see you outside. I'll see you outside. So then he goes and changes, and he's like, I really want to go home, but I said I was going to see him outside.
And somebody might have heard that.
Yeah, so now I feel obligated to go outside to the bus. But meanwhile, there's a sea of uniformed security officers between them. Nothing is going to happen, but at least he can now say, I said I was going to see him outside, and I went to go do it.
You can hear it in the fourth quarter on the simulcast, on the microphones. After a free throw situation, Melo yells, I'll see you after the game to KG.
Hold this thought because I want to get into seeing people after the bus because it's a juicy topic.
I'm interested.
You were talking about volatile trash talk versus fun trash talk. And the difference with volatile is some guys do the volatile, but they also back it up. Other people talk volatile but can't. I went to a game, I think I've told you this story. Antoine Walker, who was like the all-time yapper, annoying, but wanted no part of fighting anybody. And he was doing it to Jerry Stackhouse.
Wrong person.
And was doing it. Celtics were winning.
That's where you need vets.
So, and I saw this happen. I loved this stuff at the time. I would be watching. So he goes up, he whispered, or he says, he's talking to Jerry Stackhouse, and there's a dead ball. Somebody's shooting free throws. Jerry Stackhouse leans over and says something to Antoine that, just whispers something. And Antoine's face went like he's terrified now. And you can see it. I'm 25 feet away. Whatever Jerry Stackhouse said to him, he's terrified. And he's went from doing this to just being like, and then game ends and he's out. And Jerry Stackhouse obviously said to him, it was pretty easy to tell, like, I'm going to kill you after the game. I'm going to find you, we're going to fight outside, and I'm going to beat the living hell out of you. And this is something, Abrams has a big piece about Stackhouse and Wallace on Thursday. And he did the famous fight with Kirk Snyder, where Kirk Snyder is like, I'll see you after the bus. And Stackhouse got mad. He's like, didn't want to fight him in the game. He's like, all right, I'll see you after. Game ends. Stackhouse asked Dallas for a jogging suit because he doesn't want to get blood on his suit.
Good idea. Solid.
Doesn't want to get blood on his suit.
It's a nice suit.
Puts a jogging suit on.
Yeah, it's a veteran move.
Dex Snyder outside. Famous story. But what other famous outside the bus stories do you remember?
Do people really
this happens
have
a lot.
Outside
oh yeah,
arenas?
This happens a lot. It happened with who was the other one? It was John Battle and somebody was another famous one from the 90s. There was Bonzi Wells was waiting. No, not Bonzi Wells. Chris Mills. Wasn't Chris Mills waiting outside the bus for somebody and banging it?
I'm going to put everybody behind the curtain.
Okay.
When we say meet at the bus, what happens at an NBA game is afterwards.
Well, first of all, you don't want to fight during the game because it costs you money.
Correct. Yeah. And you can't fight in the locker room because obviously they're on the other team and they're in the other locker room. The central meeting location, a lot of times where the families are to leave after a game.
You don't want to fight there.
Is near the team bus, but not at the team bus.
The team bus pulls under the arena, right? So you don't leave to get on the bus, right?
It's the only place that if there was going to be a ring mentally, that you would have that opportunity to get at someone back in the day with no cameras.
Okay.
With nobody being able to
testify.
No media around. Only the players that are witnesses, and majority of the time they're not going to say anything.
So like at MSG, you leave the arena, you go through a whole bunch of things, and then there's like a long garage runway.
I know that area.
There's no media there. There's nothing. Nice spread out space. It's almost like the Octagon.
So have you ever seen, what in your career, have you seen something occur?
I've heard players say it multiple times. I've seen players go nose to nose afterwards. But unless you're like Charles Oakley, when the game is over, it's over.
Yeah.
That's about being.
Unless somebody said your wife tasted like Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the game's not over, it turns out. It
But
turns out the game's still going.
Well, let me take it a step further. And I've heard that since that altercation that KG and Carmelo have had a phone conversation.
Oh,
Whoa, inside
Jalen.
info.
We're like
Wow.
on minute 25 of the podcast.
my God.
here.
Jeez.
Whoa.
But that won't stop the public consumption of it now because it's already out there on both sides. It's almost like the East Coast West Coast battle with Tupac and Biggie. It's like those guys could call themselves making up, but it's already out there
Takes a
so
life
far
of its own,
that everybody's gonna run with it.
You know,
And
what's
it's really unfortunate.
What's interesting for me as a Celtic fan, and I've written about this before, about the phenomenon of rooting for KG, who is indefensible. But he's on your team, and it becomes a thing like the same way the Pistons fans felt about Lambeer.
Loved them.
Yeah.
And it's like, you loved him because he is on your team.
He
He's
was
your guy.
Yeah.
If he was on the other team, I would have hated his guts.
Yeah.
I would hate KG
When your
if he
dog
was in the
bites other
Knicks.
people, you don't
Yeah.
mind. You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's
it's a
like,
great
yeah, it's
dog,
my
right? You
dog.
gotta
Yeah, it's
know
in my
him.
house. It's great.
Look
yeah.
back at the 1991 footage, and I'm saying when the Pistons lost to the Bulls,
Yep.
I was in the line behind Isaiah and Lambeer when we walked off the court in my own heart and didn't shake the Bulls' hands.
Because you didn't want to.
Because I didn't want to.
So you had so much history. I actually thought they should have, it was the classy thing to do to shake hands.
That's a rivalry.
I know it's a rivalry, but it
Shake
made
hands.
Isaiah just look like a petulant. You know what? He'd won 2 titles. You abdicate the throne with class, then you storm off. I don't know. You were okay with it.
I was okay with it.
Just because you felt like it was so heated, it would have been disingenuous to then shake hands.
If I don't see, there's a difference. Like, there are players that go against one another that respect each other. There are players that go against each other that don't know each other or don't care to know the other person. And there are people that go against each other that just, for whatever reason, don't like that person. And it happens a lot of times with celebrities. Like, people that have never met John or Jane Doe, for some strange reason, you just don't like that person.
Right.
And in these 2 cases of Kevin Garnett and Melo, now at this point they can't like each other.
Right.
His wife is hearing about this conversation,
Yeah, she's not happy.
right? Everybody's families are hearing about these conversations. When they play on January 24th, we need to go to the game. That's going to be theater.
In Boston?
We need to be at the game.
I think you dress up like the bee.
I think I could be talked into
You
it.
dress up like the bee. We can get you a bee costume.
I just love. As a Celtic fan, the Knicks Celtics rivalry has been a rivalry that should have been awesome and just has really never been awesome
I'll tell you why.
because they've never been good at the same time.
4 seasons. Knicks won the championship in 70-73.
Well, 73 was the last time when they were really equal,
Correct. And they went to the finals in 94 and 99.
and we weren't good those years.
The Celtics have 17 championships.
Well, here's when. So 84, Bernard King, Larry Bird. That was an awesome series. The Knicks fans, that's one of their favorite series because Bernard almost single-handedly beat the Celtics.
He did that to the Pistons too.
Right.
He averaged 40.
He beat him
on
that
us.
year.
I remember.
You know what?
putting
You know
tape
what
on my
ended?
hands and going to play right after that game.
You know how it ended?
Why'd you put tape on your
Because
hand?
Bernard King wore double
He
tape
had
on all of his
He
fingers.
had 2 broken fingers. Yeah, he had 50. His fingers were. You know how that series ended,
I
though,
did that
Jalen?
with Derek Chivas, the Band-Aid man in Missouri too.
Hey, you forgot about that. I forgot about the band man.
No, Nelly's the Band-Aid man in Missouri.
Jacobs, do you know how the 84 Celtics Knicks series ended?
Celtics won.
Larry Bird brought out the smack, and he just laid down an entire floor of smack in Game 7. He had like a 39, 12, 15 or some crazy. It was over. It was over in the first quarter.
Time to turn into a Hall of Famer.
So that was one time. Then in 19...
Bernard King should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
He should be in the Hall of Fame, and he's one of the best 60 players ever.
Agreed.
1990, Celtics near end of the Bird, Mikhail Parrish era, Ewing on the rise. We go head-to-head against them, win the first 2. They win the next 3. They win the clincher Game 5 in the Garden. And then after that, nothing. And we're talking about now 22 years. Like, they've played a couple times in the playoffs, but
The last 2
nothing that
series have
mattered.
been, it's just been against steamrolled.
And
They've
the
stunk.
number one thing that rekindles these type of rivalries, because there's always an undercurrent for those who don't spend time on the East Coast. There's always an undercurrent between Boston and New York
Right.
that just happens to exist. Period.
Yeah, it's from
Yeah,
baseball
yeah.
mostly.
Not
And then,
even,
like,
not even about sports.
Boston
Just
is the
city to
little
city.
brother. Yeah.
Just period.
Yeah, it's just, even,
I lived in New
women don't
York
like
and spent
each
a lot of
other.
time there. And
Yeah.
I fly into Boston every time I go to Bristol,
Yeah.
which means I'm flopping over in one of the two every now and then.
Yeah, yeah.
For some strange reason, and I'm from the Midwest, there's always friction between
It's a little brother, big brother thing.
Yeah.
It
In New
is.
York.
Yeah.
Now that both teams are relevant,
Yep.
both teams have the same expectations in the East, and both teams likely are going to play against each other in this year's playoffs. After the Celtics have eliminated the Knicks
Yep.
from the playoffs recently, this is going to be very good.
Well, you
for
also
the
have,
NBA.
and then you also have, you have the fan bases. Both of them are convinced they're the best fan bases for basketball. And the Knicks have had, I would say, have done a better job of consistently supporting bad teams than the Celtics have. But when both arenas are going on it with a good team, it's equal. Everybody
Yeah.
knows what they're doing. So like last night's
10 out of
environment,
10, yeah.
best environment of the year last night, that Knicks game. Crowd was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. The fans, when they have the right game, are the best at digesting that game and becoming part of it.
One of the best
Although,
games.
and Spike Lee, settle down. Sit down. Just, you know what? Sit down.
Yeah.
When guys are inbounding the ball, don't stand next to them.
I think
I've
eventually,
almost had it with him.
I think there may be something that comes down probably from the league or from the refs for him to do that. And not that I care whether he does it or not, but when coaches are up on the sideline, and you saw this happen earlier this year,
Oh, D'Antoni.
you could purposely stand in the path of the inbounder and indirectly root how he throws the ball.
Zach Lowe is obsessed with this.
Yeah, he is.
says
And
that
it's
Vinny
true.
Del Negro,
Yeah.
Mike D'Antoni. You know what else Mike D'Antoni does? I swear to God he does this. If somebody's shooting free throws, there's this moment when you look up, he'll be standing behind the guy and he'll walk in his line of vision to the right and pretend he's going to tell somebody something, and he'll do it every time.
Or you
Watch
grab
him.
a substitute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the substitute
He
run
waits,
up.
he waits,
That's
he waits,
what
he does it.
Bill does this during horse, like right when you're about to shoot. He'll say something like, "Oh, do you need another beer?" Like, "Oh, do you want something?" And it's
That
like,
is
so
true.
you really have to bring up a topic of conversation every time I'm about to shoot.
That is true.
It's fact.
So the big win of this is that Knicks Celtics needed some sort of extra mustard on the hot dog.
boys
And now it has.
are
I'm
back.
gonna say
in
the
town.
East needed a little extra mustard on the hot dog.
Yeah, because Miami's
general.
Miami's pretty benevolent as a
Yeah.
team. There's
You
no
know
like.
why? Because they have the best player with no question.
Yeah.
They're the defending champion with no question. And they're the best team in
And
the
the
East.
Wade's
the
the only
Bulls
one.
aren't
Wade's a little
around, yeah.
dirty. Wade, we think Wade's. I think Wade's dirty. I know.
What do you mean, as a player?
Yeah, I think he's dirty. I think there's been too many incidents now. He's had six
not a
different.
dirty player.
Six
I wouldn't
different
say
seven.
that. I wouldn't say
I think he's
that.
a little dirty. Listen, John Stockton was dirty. He's one of the best 25 players ever. Just own who you are.
Wade's at a point of his career now. Custody of his sons. LeBron and Bosh and told Pat Riley in the front office, I want to get my 20 to 25 points. I want to see how many championships I can win. Where we going to dinner, Gabrielle? There, and a fan's not going to like for me to say this, but there becomes a time in most athletes' life where the game isn't the most important thing to them.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, how about this?
Are you saying that about Dwayne Wade?
No. You're saying
That's a compliment.
it's one of the many things that are about his life.
Yes.
Yes.
We, for example, look at a player like DeMarcus Cousins and hopes he matures to become Dwayne Wade. You want him to be a responsible citizen, respectful to the league, and an ambassador for the game that just so happens to be a great player and all-star that's trying to get championships. That's who Dwayne Wade has become. The opposite of that is Kobe Bryant. You could tell that he's obsessed by the game of basketball. Period, point blank.
This is why I'm starting to like Kobe Bryant.
That's what I was saying. I'd rather have a Kobe Bryant.
Late in my career, I'm like, God, this guy actually, like, he puts more thought into his job than anybody else in the league. Like, he really does.
You know who told you that first?
Who?
Larry Bird.
Yeah, he did. Larry Bird was the one who made me kind of realize I needed. When the basketball Jesus looks you in the eye and says, "My favorite player is Kobe Bryant,"
It's time to read.
and I'm only one of the disciples. So we have to like him now? Okay, okay, master. But so Knicks Celtics back on, and you know who was the big winner last night other than Honey Nut Cheerios
The NBA.
and the NBA? Now there's another huge winner from last night.
Doc
Lala.
Rivers.
I'm going
No.
Lala.
Nope. Who? I can't believe you're not getting this.
Paul Pierce?
Rajon Rondo. who, once again, did something really stupid, got kicked out of a game, or got kicked out of this game because of some idiot move he made, and it's the third time he's bumped an official, Jalen.
Yes, stay away from the officials.
How about this? Nobody else on our team has bumped an official.
He's
done
careers.
it 3 different times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Stay away from the officials, Rajon.
Don't touch the
Jesus
officials.
Christ.
How hard is this?
It's 3 times now.
How many times have I bumped into you doing a podcast, Jalen?
Never.
0 times. How many times have I bumped into you on the office?
1, it's like, that's weird. 2, it's like, and then 3, it's like, this guy needs like psychological help. What's wrong with this guy?
Let me tell you why Rondo is one of my guys, though.
Well, he's one of my guys too. I'm just enough with the bump.
I've never seen him bump into a Kendrick Perkins. That's all I'm saying.
But that's his guy. The one thing I like about Rondo, when you see the grainy footage of Melo with the red Scully standing by the bus, look to the left, and there's a guy that appears in a jogging suit. That's Rondo.
Okay, now you're thinking I like him because he's got my guy. He's there because he's got somebody's back or whatever. Chris Ryan, editor of the Triangle Sports Blog at Grantland.com, said that Rondo thought that they were all deciding where they were going to go to dinner that night.
Chris is not accurate.
Okay.
Because the Boston Celtics were getting on a bus to go back to Boston.
Okay.
So that theory is not accurate.
And Rondo,
that's what Rondo said.
Rondo
he's very aware.
He's a secret badass. Rondo will throw down. We talked about volatile trash talkers who are secretly not. Rondo's a guy who actually backs stuff up.
If there was an incident, say when you see Melo standing there, for some strange reason, if Kevin Garnett would have came strolling up, Rondo would have been a part of that brawl.
And also part of that brawl, the 50 security guards in between them. I'm just throwing that out there.
It's an NBA fight. Hold me back. I used to do this all of the time.
I remember
I elbow a guy. Where's Dale? Where's Antonio?
Where are my famous brothers?
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
It's
I remember
an NBA fight.
I went to a game, Rondo's second year. God, I can't remember who it was. It was a veteran point guard. It was the first 20 seconds of the game. And this was like the year KG joined the team. And this veteran guy just thought he'd like push Rondo, do whatever. It was literally the start of it. And Rondo was just like went at him like this, like ready to punch him. And I was like, this guy might be a really good fit for us. Because I had always thought he was talented, but I love that he kind of had the fist clenched. It was just like, all right, this guy's a tough dude.
I think it's interesting that both of you guys will congratulate a guy like Rondo because he's kind of like, he's got your back in a physical thing, or maybe he's going to punch somebody on the court.
Not afraid of anybody.
But at the same time, it's like, you don't like that behavior from your athletes. You don't want them to get in fights. You don't want them to bump officials. But you do how they're about to
these are two separate things.
But you see how
these are two separate things.
Each other.
No, two separate things, because it's one thing how you deal with other players. That's a whole dynamic. You can't mess with officials because officials, it's like
a position.
It's like
of
the
power.
police. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you have a professor in college who's grading your paper. You don't bump the professor. Or you don't call him a mother effer, or you don't whatever, and put him in a position where as he's grading your paper, he's like, that's the guy who bumped me and gave me that stink eye, 74. You don't do it. And this is something that Antoine used to do when he played that drove me crazy. And, hey, by the way, I went to way too many Celtic games, so all my references go back to Antoine.
They're all Celtic games.
But Antoine would just call the refs ref. He never bothered to learn any of their names. And it sounds like a stupid thing.
Did you call them by their name?
Jalen, I bet, was smart enough to know every ref's name. I guarantee he was.
You have to be a student of the game. That's one of the things I like about Mark Cuban. To me, there's no reason why every team and player shouldn't have the data of every official. Who likes to call travel, block, charge, over the back, their names, things that make them tick. These are the guys that influence the game just as much as the players.
And by the way, they're very easy to butter up. You call them ref, you're basically saying like, oh, you're the minion who calls this basketball game. I have no appreciation.
How's your wife,
and
Vanessa?
Don't forget about the multiple judgment calls that happen in an NBA game. A reach-in call, an over-the-back, 3 seconds, a foul call, a block charge. These are judgment calls. If I don't like you, you're not getting the whistle.
And Jalen knows this because he played against him. And I wrote about this in my book. Jordan was the master of... He worked refs like the same way a politician would work a room. There'd be a foul call. He'd put his arm around the guy and be like, man, that call before. Oh, I can't believe I didn't get that. Well, I'm sorry, Michael. I'll do better next time. Like, these guys would just kowtow to him, and he knew how to manipulate all of them.
It's all about if they think you're trying to show them up.
And
You could be standing next to a guy calmly saying all of the curse words you want.
Right.
But if you guys are having responsible dialogue and it doesn't look to the 20,000 people at the game and the millions of people watching that you're being disrespectful or demonstrative, he's going to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're human beings also.
And this is a great point because this is something, if you watch Kobe's the best of this right now. Kobe won't stink eye of the ref.
He'll go right over
He'll
to
stand
him like a
over.
hash mark.
He'll lean over. He'll put his hand on his knees and be like, "Okay, you really screwed up that call." And he does it all under his
during the
breath.
foul
You don't
shots.
even know what they're talking about. And he's like, "You're killing me. This guy's up around like it's almost like he's a ventriloquist."
Then somebody
That's
pulls
what the refs
jersey
want.
over
They
the
just
mouth.
don't want people up there to say that Kobe Bryant's. And this is going back to Rondo. He's the kind of guy who calls the refs ref. He shows them up. He stink eyes them. He does all the stuff that they hate, and then he doesn't get calls.
And I got to throw something out there for this podcast and you, Bill, because I know how much you love your Celtics. The New York Knicks will eliminate the Celtics from this year's playoffs.
Shots fired.
That was shots fired.
Shots fired.
That was shots fired. Well, I think it's a safe bet because here's the problem with the Celtics team. Way too much depends on KG and Paul Pierce. And now you're asking them from games 83 through 89 of the season, or games 90 through 96 whenever they meet the Knicks, that those guys have to be in tip-top physical shape. Pierce is having one of his best seasons in a while. Like, this is supposed to be the transition year of, it's Rondo's team now. Instead, Pierce is averaging like 23 points a game the last 6 weeks.
But it's not just
and is their
Rondo.
crunch time guy.
But Rondo has developed. He's become an all-star, one of the top 5 point guards in the game.
That happened 2 years ago.
But you draft Bradley to help that process.
Yeah.
You re-sign Jeff Green. We know he went through a terrible heart ailment.
Yep.
He's lucky to be and happy, I'm sure, to be alive, let alone contributing for a basketball team.
And eating
I don't like the
Cheerios.
What's up with Fab Melo?
What is up with Fab Melo?
We drafted him for comic relief. They didn't like anyone else in the draft. They needed somebody to KG make fun
It's
of.
like the way we hire interns. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, will they be fun around the office?
The guy's a character.
Sure.
Did you guys ever introduce my guy Danny Ainge to Perry Jones III? He was sitting right there.
Yeah.
He'd be a perfect Celtic to play with
I'm
KG.
sure that
Or
he
even
can
like-
walk through a hotel door without knocking himself out, too.
Hold on, watch this. Jalen's going to have a mini orgasm here. Even Draymond Green.
Yes. He's a real good player.
At least we know he's tough. He'll practice his ass
Smart.
off. Yeah, he's not afraid of anybody.
Not afraid of door frames.
Instead, they took a guy who's like, who can get us the most YouTube hits? But
The knockoff.
back to Rondo, like, and we've talked about this on the show. He spent the whole summer talking about this is his team. It's my team now. They come out of the gate. They start running plays for him in the last play of the game, which is like getting the big piece of chicken at the family dinner.
The Ray Allen spot. Yeah.
Oh, I get the big piece. Thank you.
Cool.
Didn't really come through. Doesn't play hard every night. Plays 80% hard. You're the best player. It's 100%. Does Durant take nights off?
He does not.
Does
And that's
Westbrook take nights off?
And people get all over Russell Westbrook.
Does
but
not
he
take a
plays
night off.
as hard as any player in the game.
Does LeBron
How
take
many
a night
games
off?
does Russell Westbrook miss because of injury?
Russell Westbrook has never missed a game in his high school, college, or professional career.
He has the
missed a game.
consecutive game streak.
And he plays so hard.
Baddest
'Cause
MFer in the league.
People look at Derrick Rose and they say, "Oh, he got injured," but I can tell by the way he plays and the way he jumps and the way
No,
he just
Westbrook
bumps into
plays just
people.
as hard.
Westbrook goes just as hard and has not missed a
Kobe
game.
Bryant, does he take nights off? No.
He does not take nights off.
So
Kobe has so much responsibility. You may watch a game where he doesn't rotate on D and his man scores or his man comes off a down screen. Think about the responsibilities of a 17-year NBA vet.
that's why he's a DH now.
He's not a DH. He's a player. This guy leads
Best
the league
designated hitter in
scoring.
basketball.
Well, he's Mariano Rivera then.
Now he is.
This guy leads the league in scoring, the highest field goal percentage of his career. He has to guard Steve Nash's man.
Yep.
You see that when
Yeah.
Chris Paul comes to town? That's Kobe Bryant guard.
Yeah.
They're trying to hide Steve Nash on Barnes when they think he's not going to get the ball. When they play against the Knicks, they were hiding him on
That's what
Novak.
Zach Lowe calls a hider. You know who's a hider in the Celtics? Jason Terry.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, where do we put Jason? You know who else is a hider? Bill Simmons. Where do we put him? Oh, there's a balding guy out there. Oh, we'll put Bill on him.
Yeah, that guy looks
Yeah.
overweight.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's like Kobe. You're on your third coach this year. They fire Mike Brown. They bring in Bernie, who actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah, big
now
winner.
you with D'Antoni, who's 10 and 13. And I played for Mike D'Antoni. I know there aren't too many defensive conversations happening.
Jalen's not a fan of Mike D.
No, he's not a big fan
Not
of
a
Mike
fan.
D'Antoni. We've heard about this before.
Not a
Any
fan.
coach that becomes a specialist, that means that they omit a lot of other details in multiple areas.
Would you say that about Tom Thibodeau, though?
No.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't. But he's the defensive specialist.
But no, he emphasizes defense, but he's a real coach.
Well, can't you
That's
say
different.
that Mike D'Antoni emphasizes offense?
So do a lot of coaches,
What would
though.
Mike D'Antoni do with the Bulls roster without Derrick Rose? They'd be the 12th seed in the East.
Well, this is Jalen, one of your best points. I'm going to make it. I'm going to steal Jalen's point. He's stolen a couple of mine.
Yeah, power guard. I stole that.
He stole power guard. He stole one.
That's fine. That's fine. It's all family.
Let's just pretend we're in an alternate universe and Mike D'Antoni is coaching Houston right now.
Okay.
And not Kevin McHale. Kevin McHale's coaching the Lakers. And the Rockets are doing what they're doing right now, scoring
offensive
118.
genius.
Mike D'Antoni does it again.
His system is unfathomable.
Once again, he does it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Let
that's
me
the
get
thing.
some game to
There's
the-
been a lot
He's
of
changed the
offensive
game.
geniuses.
He's changed offense in the
I
basketball.
got to give some game to the NBA fans and to some media people who talk about Mike D'Antoni like he's the first person that's a coach that wanted to play small ball for round one. They must have never seen the Denver Nuggets with Doug Moe. They must have never seen Don Nelson do small ball. The Houston Rockets did it with Akeem when they won championships for round one.
How about the 87 Lakers?
The 87 Lakers, James Worthy.
James Worthy was not a power forward. He was a
Playing
small
power
forward. Yeah.
Teams do that if you have a center that can either score and/or that's going to be a defensive and rebounding demon. Now you can play an undersized four. He didn't invent that. So when it's discussed, as you just mentioned, like the Houston Rockets, it becomes a signature. Sean Marion, Boris Diaw, they were power forwards in the Phoenix system.
Because they didn't have a choice.
They were
The
undersized
year Amari got
four-men.
hurt, yeah.
But when you go to the Knicks and your team is scoring and it's great initially, then you're like, wait a minute, we're scoring 110, but the other team just scored 115 and beat us.
Now, I think you're a D'Antoni hater. I'm
not a hater.
A little bit, because you didn't get playing time in Phoenix.
Let me tell you what I think a hater
Just
is.
be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror, be honest with yourself.
Yeah,
if you got more playing time in
agreed.
Phoenix, would you feel differently about Mike
I wouldn't
D'Antoni?
like him if he benched me either.
No,
Yeah.
Here's the difference. A hater to me is somebody that's speaking on someone that A, they don't know anything about, or B, they're speaking on somebody that they just flat out are jealous of.
Okay, you're doing a good job as
I'm
a
not
lawyer.
jealous
Let me
of
tell
him.
you, okay, that's
A
fine.
hater is
You're
jealous.
not a hater. You're Len bias about Mike D'Antoni.
How about this?
You're biased.
I don't like him.
Okay, personally.
That's not being a hater, though.
No, it's not a hater. I used the wrong word. My bad. But still.
But my professional obligation is still to cover his teams and call it like I see it, like I did in Phoenix, like I do in New York. When he's doing a great job, I'm standing on the table.
Well, I bring this up
Giving
because
him
of the
props.
picture. We were talking earlier before we started recording about the picture with Kobe Bryant and Dwight Howard over a trainer's table that which Mike D'Antoni is
Can't
on.
do it.
My
My Mike Singletary voice. Can't do it.
That's good. That's a good new one. I like that. But tell
I
me
think
why.
that was Mike's
What's
idea.
your problem with that? What is your
That's not
problem
Mike's
with that?
idea.
Here's my problem with the Kobe Bryant, Dwight Howard, Mike D'Antoni spoof picture about their disagreement.
If you didn't see it, they're fake. They've kind of like have boxing hands at each other. It's fake.
One, does that picture make us think that Dwight Howard and Kobe Bryant didn't have a verbal altercation? No, because they did. Two,
Are we sure they did?
they did.
They did.
Two,
Jalen said it.
if you're the head coach and we're 10 and 13 under your watch, you probably don't want to participate at this point. You participate when we're 19 and 3.
Right.
That's when you get in that picture. Right now, you lay low. And there's no difference between when you see a football game and a guy's team is down 4 touchdowns, there's 2 minutes to go in the game, and he gets a sack and he does his touchdown dance. Or Cam Newton, when he scores a touchdown, everybody gets upset that he does his Superman thing when they're down. They're down right now.
See, I think
He's the leader.
I think you're letting your personal bias get involved.
Can I say something?
here.
Because you've hijacked my podcast.
Okay, good.
Good.
Jalen, Jalen knows certain things, and Magic knows certain things, and when he says something like, "Oh no, they had a verbal altercation," and both of us were like, "They did? Are we sure?"
Yeah.
I've learned not to question them.
I don't.
Because here's what it is: it's this whole circle. Like both Jalen and Magic knew James Harden was going to get traded like 2 weeks before they got traded.
On our podcast before.
So in the podcast, they said in the trade, they said it on the show we did, and I'm looking at both of them like, why do you guys both think they're going to get traded? Jalen and Magic just look at each other. It was like some weird secret code that they're in. And the only way I could describe it is like when you ask your wife, like, what's wrong with her friend Zoe? Mm-hmm. And there's some sort of, well, she's having female and you're just out. Yeah. You're just out. You just know it's like this whole female world of there's a problem and something, and you don't even. It's their world. That's how it is with inside info.
How do you know that
Carmelo and KG
shit? Had a phone call?
How do you know stuff? That's what I don't get.
The difference between being a reporter and an analyst is we don't have to, quote unquote, use unnamed sources. As an analyst,
no, this goes beyond analyst stuff.
Correct.
This is, I was in the league for a long time and know so many people that when something happens, I can get an answer like this.
I know Carmelo and Kevin Garnett had a phone conversation.
I've been associated with the NBA directly since '94. My father was the number one pick in the 1967 NBA draft, so I was born into what we now know as the NBA family.
So it's a circle of trust.
It's a circle of trust that I know people before I played that are now coaches, executives, trainers, equipment people, current players, family members, entourage members, that on each team there are 4 or 5 people I could call to get the real lowdown of what's going on.
And here's why I love doing the show, because we'll be in the green room, and between him and Magic, you know, like that's having Siri, like the iPhone, and be like, hey Siri, how do I get to this restaurant? They'd be like, hey Magic, what happened when Norm Nixon ... And I'd be like, oh, well that happened in 1883. It's like having the Google engine. So now I have every answer I've ever wanted for anything related to the NBA. So anyway, I've learned when either of these guys know something, I've learned not to doubt them.
When you look at the Lakers roster, and I know we want to overanalyze it a lot. And the reason why we're overanalyzing it is Kobe Bryant still playing great. Steve Nash is playing good. Metta World Peace is playing good. Pau Gasol is having a bad season. Dwight Howard is having a good season. A couple of those guys are going to go on to be
I disagree on the Dwight Howard.
For what
I think he's having a good season for a typical starting center.
For what he's able to do.
He's not having a Dwight Howard season.
He's not having a dominant season, but he's having
3 years ago,
season.
would you have driven at Dwight Howard and tried to get a layup on him? No. This year you would be like, I think I could take Dwight and shield him off with my right hand and get my little lefty layup on him.
But it's partly that, and I said this when they put this team together. A lot of people think Steve Nash is a bad defender, so as long as he just funnels it to Dwight Howard, that the defense is going to be okay. We talked about this on the pod. A good shot blocker only blocks 3 shots a game. The average team takes 75 shots a game. Unless you're 12 feet tall, nobody's going to be intimidated with today's rules because you can't hard foul anymore. You can't hand check anymore. You can't be physical anymore. If you got a handle and you can get from point A to point B like you saw Lawson do against the Lakers, Jarrett Jack do against the Lakers, Chris Paul do against the Lakers. You can make a shot from 12 to 15. The big has to show. You drop it off to another big for a high percentage shot, or you kick it out for a 3. That's what the game is become.
Well, here's the other thing. This is something I noticed seeing Dwight in person. He is not like super physically imposing. Remember we were at games and we're like...
He's super physically imposing.
No. He's physically imposing, but he's only 6'9".
He's not as tall as you would think.
And you're not a freak athlete anymore, because you look at the guys like the centers who evolved over time, or whose careers evolved, like Shaq. Shaq's a giant dude. Shaq weighs 350 pounds. So even as his skills started to atrophy, he always had this massive size difference that was an advantage, even in Miami, like tail end of his career. You still had to deal with Shaq's size. Same thing with Kareem.
Even in Phoenix.
Kareem could shoot a skyhook up here that nobody could block when he was 40 years old and washed up. Dwight Howard now is a 6'9" guy who can't jump like he used to. And he's still getting stats, but I don't feel like athletically he's superior like he was. And that's the difference. I don't know if that's coming back.
JaVale McGee was going against Dwight Howard in his previous game. Dwight Howard had 26 rebounds, a double-double. JaVale McGee had 20 points. The contrast in those two different players are this. Dwight Howard is asked to be an all-NBA performer and has led the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals. He was expected to be that player when he came to the Lakers.
He was the best player on a team that came within 2 wins of winning the finals.
JaVale McGee is asked with a new contract to go out and be productive. When he gets off to a good start, he's going to play more minutes. When he has a horrible start, they're going to sit him on the bench.
And to not get arrested.
So it's all about styles. You have the bigs that run, jump, dunk, and block shots. And I'm not dissing that style. It's just become a part of our game. So JaVale McGee, DeAndre Jordan, Tyson Chandler, these players are in one mode. Then you have the post-up kind of centers, the Al Jefferson and Andrew Bynum.
Gasol.
And then you have the athletes that, like Dwight Howard, who are supposed to contest and block and change every shot.
Yeah.
That's a freak athlete. So to your point, he is very physically imposing still. If you look at him, he has muscles on top of muscles.
Big dude.
But he's not 7'4". He's not Shaq. He's not 350
Jalen's
pounds.
stealing this point on the show tomorrow. I know it.
Yeah, you're not going to be
He's
there.
not going to be there. Yeah, totally.
Let me ask you this. So before Dwight gets hurt, if you're picking sides, your life depends on the game, which is one of my favorite tests. LeBron and Durant are the first 2 picks. Dwight Howard might be the second pick. He definitely goes no lower than 3, and depending on how you feel about Kobe.
I would not take Dwight Howard over Chris Paul.
I'm saying
Just before he got hurt.
I'm saying before he got hurt 2 years ago.
I wouldn't take him over Chris Paul.
2009. 2009 you would have.
Not in this point
No,
guard.
that's where I'm going right now.
Not in this point guard driven league.
But right now, 2013, if we're picking sides and guys are playing and they're playing for $1 million or something, I don't know when he gets picked.
That's my point.
Like right now.
I don't know if he's one of like the top 7 picks.
Why even big?
I'll give you 5 of them, and these are all happen to be MVP candidates. Paul, Melo, Kobe, LeBron, and Durant. That 5 is locked and sealed.
And then if I'm looking like, I got to go to war, I got to know I trust everybody in this team. Do I want to deal with Dwight and all the weird stuff that comes with him, or do I want Westbrook, who's going to play out of his mind and be so excited that I picked him 6th?
What about if you need a big on this team? Like, you'd almost rather have like a Marc Gasol.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, should I take Dwight now, or should I wait until my 11th pick and take Marc Gasol? I think I'd rather have Marc Gasol. I'd rather get Westbrook now and take Marc Gasol 5 picks later.
In this hypothetical game.
This weird
You're playing
hypothetical
for $1
game,
million.
it's
So
crazy.
I'm glad that we cleared this up.
But here's why I distinguish the styles, because look at the Miami Heat. If you don't have a big that's going to dominate the paint, you might as well not have one out there, because he's going to get exposed on pick and rolls. He's going to get exposed in transition. You might as well play small. And if Dwight is going to be a post-up big that you look to be dominant on the block to give you offense, when he's not doing that like he isn't now, they're using Dwight as a serviceable big man. You run, you jump, you dunk, you block shots, you rebound, and shut up.
Let's go right now. I'll give you the first pick.
Oh, can I be the host?
You can be the host.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2013 Grantland hypothetical fantasy draft.
If your life depends on it,
Yes.
game.
You are coaching from a cage, which is
We're
over a
picking 5
shark
players
pit.
per team.
We're picking 9. We're doing a 9-man rotation.
9 and 9.
You get first. You get 4. You get 4 and 5.
No,
So I
just
go.
go
I go
1,
2
2,
and
1,
3.
2.
No.
Okay.
Snake fashion.
It's your hypothetical
You
draft.
get 1, 4, and 5. You get 7 and 8. So you get first pick. I'll give you first pick. I know.
I
you're
get
taking.
first pick. I'm taking LeBron James.
Okay. I'm taking Durant.
It's going to get interesting quick.
Taking Durant, and I'm taking Chris Paul.
Okay. That was a monkey wrench.
So you have 4 and 5.
I get 2 picks in a row.
You get 2 picks in a row.
Oh, it's over. I'm giving Kobe
Okay.
and Melo.
All right.
Okay.
I'm taking.
This is live, folks. This is what I love about giving the people what they want.
It's interesting because
This is
no
tough
one's even
now.
thinking about bigs. I can tell.
See, now I might have to think about a big here.
Someone has to.
I might have to think about a big. Who were the other? I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody fantastic.
This is great podcast listening.
All right. I'm going to say.
I already know who I'm taking, too, and I know you're not going to take him. I'm going to take him quick, too.
Lance Stevenson?
I'm taking Westbrook.
Ooh. You got Paul and Westbrook. Okay.
Got Paul and Westbrook. And I really want to take Dwight Howard. Now I've just thrown my own I'm doing it. I'm taking Dwayne Howard. I just disproved my own point. The whole reason.
The whole thing you said, you're like, imagine
So
there's
where
a
did
draft.
he go?
So he went 7th.
You said top 7?
Who are you picking for 2? I'm curious about this.
Now
Who
you need
am I
a team.
gonna pick? I get the chance to pick 1 or 2 more guys?
No, we're going to keep going at 18.
Okay. I'm going to take Tyson Chandler.
Ooh.
Okay.
You don't need a lot more scoring.
Mm-hmm.
You've got LeBron, Kobe, and Melo.
Now you got one more.
Also give me... I need a dark alley guy.
You need a point guard.
Oh, man. I was looking at Dark Alley guys, too.
You don't have a power forward yet?
No. Don't do it, because he's my next pick.
Give me Zebo.
No! Oh, I knew you were going to do
Dark
it.
alley guy.
I thought I was going to get out of there. He was number 1 on my Dark Alley and low post boards.
So I have LeBron, Kobe, Melo, Tyson Chandler, and Zebo.
My team needs to get tougher. I might have screwed up. I should have taken Zebo 7.
I think you need Dwayne Wade.
No, I definitely need Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
I'm taking Dwayne Wade. And then I'm going to take a guy who's really impressed me, who I think is really worked hard to make himself a good player on both ends. He's part of a winning team.
Ray Felton?
No.
Blake Griffin.
Okay. I'm not sure I agree
I
with
might
that.
bring him off the bench,
Not sure I agree with that.
but I think I want him on my team. I'm impressed by how he's played.
Okay.
I think he's a bad matchup against certain people on Jalen's team.
Correct, he could be. That's why my next choice is going to be Darren Williams.
Oh.
Ooh, unpopular pick.
You also get the
You got
fork
a
in
low
his back.
price. You got a low price on that one.
I'm taking Darren Williams. He can shoot the 3. He can handle the ball.
You better hope he shoots better
Are you
than 30%.
coaching? Because if you're coaching, you're going to get fired.
One more for you.
I get another player.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Paul Gasol.
I was thinking about him.
He could use some new teammates, new environment.
I'm going to take Marc Gasol,
Good pick.
and I need a 3-point shooter really badly.
And just so you know, all of the guys on my team shoot 3s.
LeBron, Kobe, Melo.
Chandler, great 3-point shooter.
My perimeter player.
Brooklyn.
And all of my other players can get double-doubles.
I'm going through my head to make sure I don't miss anybody. I need a swingman who can shoot.
And all of my players except Powell, I'm not sure about D-Will, I'll fight you. I need that on my roster. I need when a guy comes showing up at 3 in the morning from hanging out last night and he comes to the bus in the morning with the same clothes on he wore to the club. I need other guys that are going to challenge him.
You don't need to be the disciplinarian.
No, I need to coach the team.
Yep.
And for everybody that's listening to this podcast, this is as organic as it gets. There's no computers. There's no phones. We're not looking at any rosters, any standings.
Dirk,
Ooh.
Great call.
veteran. I need a veteran on this
Great
team.
call. Is he starting yet?
He started this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I ain't worried about him.
3-point shooter veteran.
Will he fight you? No, I ain't worried about him. Let me see.
Zebo was the key pick of this draft.
It is. You can make a trade. You're about to trade Durant for Zebo.
It is amazing that Zebo really should have gone 7th. I wish I'd taken him over Howard.
Now I'm going to get tricky with my team.
You only have 2 more spots. This is a 9-man rotation.
I need some more shooting.
Yep.
So I want Steph Curry.
I like that. I like that.
Thought about him long and hard.
I like that.
You got one more spot.
And I get to pick right now?
Yeah, you got one more. This is it. Your last pick.
LeBron going to play 40 minutes, and Melo, they can both play the minutes at the 3
To be
and
fair,
4.
I did give you the number 1 pick. I gave you the best
You
player.
did.
Maybe
All right, so
of
you
all
can
time.
go pick again.
No.
You can take the last
I'm fine.
pick.
I'm just saying.
These are the stupid rules that Bill made.
These are the stupid rules I made
Give
up.
me David Lee.
Oh, I like it.
Now, for my last pick.
What about James Harden?
I can't believe we forgot him. I would have taken him 2 rounds sooner. James Harden is my last pick. Man, I would have taken him earlier than that. Oh, I like my team now.
I was gonna take
Not
Harden.
having the rosters hurt us.
I was gonna take Harden, but I got Kobe.
I think we should apologize to James Harden for that he went 18th. He should have gone sooner.
Not if you're gonna give him starters minutes, and let him be one of the go-to guys. Coach.
The good team is
You picked Darren Williams before.
the good thing is we had this entire draft. So if we miss somebody, you can't get mad at us. We have
you
no
can
rosters.
Get mad, but, you know.
We have no newspaper. All right. So
But you're the coach.
who's your starting five?
It don't matter where you pick him. If you pick him in the 4th round, he can still be Russell Wilson, 3rd
Who's
round.
your starting five?
My starting 5 is gonna be LeBron,
Okay.
Kobe,
Yeah.
Melo,
Yeah.
Tyson. I'm starting Steph Curry.
And he brings up the
Wow.
ball? Steph Curry
Okay.
brings up the ball, or LeBron does?
LeBron.
Okay.
So you have
Steph Curry, a
Zebo,
knockdown shooter.
Gasol. Wow, I don't know. I don't know if Jalen picked a good team now. Look at this bench: Zebo, Gasol, David Lee, and Darren Williams. It's a little top heavy.
Yeah, because I got versatile guys now think about this. I got guys that have been all-stars at the 3 like LeBron, James, and Melo that are now all-stars playing the 4 in today's game. So I could take one of those guys out and put in Zebo. Take the other one out and put in Gasol or David Lee.
All right, here's my starting five.
Is David Lee the only player in the league averaging 20-10? I think so.
Fair job?
14 and 14.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
No
I have.
Celtics on Bill's team.
Well, Rondo, I don't want him to bump a ref and screw me up. All right, so I have. So I'm starting Durant, Westbrook, Wade, Chris Paul, and Dwight Howard.
Durant,
So,
Westbrook.
LeBron matches
Wade.
up against Durant. Wade matches up against Kobe. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Westbrook matches up against Kobe. Wade matches up against Melo. CP3 against Curry.
Wade
Howard
is
against
too
Chandler.
little for Melo.
That's fine. I'm going to tell him you said that before the game. Jalen
Like
doesn't
he
even
told him in the
cover
playoffs
Carmelo.
last year.
And then I have Blake, Marc Gasol, Dirk Nowitzki, and James Harden as my bench.
We got to go to the fans and see what they think about these teams. I think my team has the clear advantage.
You know what? I'm starting Blake. And I'm bringing Wade off the bench with Harden.
You say
I
he's
like
gonna
that
be
better.
that happy that you picked him, huh? That you
I'm going to tell you, he's my sixth man. So
the
Blake,
Olympics,
now
they
you
did
have
that
Blake against Melo. Durant, LeBron. Oh, I like this. Durant, Westbrook, Blake, Chris Paul, Howard. Going against LeBron, Kobe, Melo, Curry, and Chandler.
Yeah, let me
That'd
look
be
at my
good.
squad again and make sure
Yeah.
that's who I want to start.
I think you should start Zebo.
If I start Zebo, that means I would have to bring Curry off the bench. I wouldn't have enough shooting. I need some shooting.
All right. Now the key part of the podcast. Dave Jacoby, what team do you like more? It's a little unfair because one of the teams has LeBron on it.
Yeah, I like,
that normally helps.
I like Jalen's team for sure, without question.
You just like the fact that he went dark alley.
Well, he's holding a bat also. you know,
That helps.
So that
On
helps,
my left
you know,
shoulder.
yeah.
He's on my left
And
side.
I'm really hungry. I
For
want to
the
get lunch
viewers.
now. You know, so I was just wanted to make a quick decision.
Real lobster tail.
Yeah.
Now-
Agent corner.
Yeah.
If I had taken Kobe with that third pick,
You would have really threw a monkey wrench in the hole.
you would have taken Westbrook.
I would have.
Yeah.
See, here's why. I'll explain why I took Westbrook over Kobe. It wasn't a bias against Kobe. I like having guys in the same team, which is why I have Durant and Westbrook. Then I took Harden, too. Those three guys have all played together. Blake and Chris have played together. Marc Gasol can play with anybody. So I
Here's-
like that. I like the
The whole
continuity.
point was this was brought up because of a Dwight Howard conversation.
Whether he
what
was
did
one of
we
the top
learn?
five.
Like, what did we learn
So what
about
did-
Dwight Howard from this?
So what we learned was that
Was that he just went over his roster 3 times and never mentioned Dwight Howard's name.
we also learned that
Is he one of the top 9 was the question.
if we're picking sides,
He was
he was seventh, and you were okay with that, and I was okay with that.
yeah.
I
think
kind of
that's
wish
about
it, but if I had to do it over again, I would have taken Zebo seventh. Let's say I took Zebo seventh. Would you have taken Howard with one of your next 2 picks? Would you take
One
him
of the
over?
next 2, yes, I
For
would.
Right,
sure.
so he's between 7 and 9
Yeah.
right now in a picking sides, one game, your life depends on it. Now, the point is, he used to be number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So
Coming
he's
into
dropped
this
from
year?
2 to
Yes.
7 before he got hurt last year.
And we're
Durant
not
took his spot. Durant is clearly 2.
clearly. Durant has improved.
Oh, wait a second. I didn't take Westbrook over Kobe. I took Chris Paul over Kobe. So I went Durant, Chris Paul. Are you okay with that?
I am. I love Chris Paul. But here's the difference in the teams to me. My first 3 players, LeBron, Kobe, and Melo, and your first 2 players, Durant and Chris Paul, those are my 5 choices for MVP.
I'm trying to remember. How many NBA Finals trips did Melo have?
None yet.
Oh, wait, 0.
0 o'clock.
Yeah. I guess you could say the same about Chris Paul.
But we're talking about a game for our life right now, and the last time I checked, the player of the week in the Eastern Conference is...
It's Carmelo.
Carmelo.
I love Carmelo. I love Carmelo. And actually, I was disappointed in him last night as a basketball fan. As a Celtic fan, I was delighted. As a basketball fan, I thought he had a really bad game, and then he didn't handle his business after. It's like, what has he been in the league, 10 years?
Business?
It was juvenile.
See, here's the thing. I don't understand. It's like we celebrate these guys that will get your back, and we celebrate. Oh, we'll have your back, and and I want a dark alley guy on my team. And you're like, ooh, I want a dark alley guy. And then when someone shows dark alley tendencies, it's not handling their business.
You know what? That was a really well-lit alley with 20 people in it. He's a well-lit alley guy. I don't know if he's a dark alley guy.
Well, one of the things that we talk about a lot in sports, a couple of things that we talk about a lot in sports, I've had to pay attention to the dichotomy. And here's a couple of examples. When Jay Cutler took himself out of the game, he ended up actually having to have surgery, and he was really injured. Mm-hmm. He got criticized. It was actually the right decision. But RG3, I think it was not a wise decision for him to continue playing when he was limping. The fans will take it as he's being tough. But there's a difference between being hurt and injured. And we're going to view this as RG3 made the right move and Cutler didn't. But really, Cutler may have a knee that's functioning the next 50 years. RG3 already had ACL surgery in 2009.
Well, the Cutler point's a great point, and I was hoping it would last till Friday in my column, and then people started making it yesterday. But Cutler, everybody who said Griffin should have not played, everybody also criticized Cutler 2 years ago for playing or for not playing. So it's like we can't have it both ways. And then I think a better example is outside of football. I don't know if anyone's made this analogy yet, but I think it was 02 or 03, Dirk Nowitzki got shut down by the Mavs. He had a knee injury, probably could have played with it, and the Mavs said, no, we're shutting him down. They ended up losing that series. And at the time, people were like, it was a big argument. Should he gut through it? Should he play? Is he being a wuss? And the Mavs are like, look, it's a marathon, not a sprint. This guy's hurt. We're not putting him out here so he might get hurt. And it was a real thing at the time. I'm of the opinion you protect the long haul.
You have to. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
This is RG3's first year playing. I hear so many people going back and forth about this is his style. This is his first year. He's learning who he needs to be as an NFL player.
I got to admit,
that he can play 10 years.
Did you even know that he had the ACL thing? Because I didn't even know he had a previous history. So that to me, that made it worse. I didn't know when I was watching the game that it was a bad wheel.
For everybody out there that's not in the NBA circle or the in crowd of professional sports, Dr. James Andrews is the Red Auerbach, Bill Russell, John Wooden, Phil Jackson of doing surgeries. Mm-hmm. He's considered the elite. When there's a disconnect clearly publicly between him and Mike Shanahan about whether or not they discussed RG3's injury before returning to the game, that lets you know that something was handled and it wasn't handled properly.
And that's an organizational thing. Brandon Roy is another good example of this. When they made Brandon Roy play in the playoffs that time.
Man, if I own a team and I see RG3 limping on the field and I'm Dan Snyder, I'm on the red phone on the sideline. Like, put in Cousins. He showed us he can win games. As a matter of fact, because he won a game is why we're in this position.
And the other thing is, it just shows that you have a disconnect. Like, think about Grantland and how seamlessly everything works at Grantland.
Okay.
We all make decisions as a group. Mm-hmm. Jacoby doesn't go rogue and say, hey, I did this, and then I find out later, and then I didn't. Like, we all decide collectively what's in the best interest of the website at all times. You're a team. I guarantee Dan Snyder wasn't happy about how this all played out. You have Shanahan has his own interests. You have Dr. James Andrews who has his own interests. And then you have Griffin who's like, who's he listening to? They're putting it in his hands.
To football lore where he says, I'm going to play. As long as I can walk, I'm going to play. That's
we should mention, we were watching the game and you thought he should have played.
Yeah.
I was watching the game and thought he should have played till the fourth quarter when they fell down 7, and then I was like, take him out. They're not going to.
It's not necessarily his decision. I think, and Jalen, I'm curious what you think as a professional athlete, that a professional athlete, a majority of professional athletes will keep playing until someone tells them to stop if they can stand.
You have to protect the athlete from themselves because it becomes a macho culture.
That's what I'm saying. A
testosterone-driven ego thing that if I take myself out of the game and you don't see a bone sticking out of my leg like I'm Joe Theismann, there are some people that's going to look at me like I'm being soft.
Teammates, yeah. And
you have an accountability to your teammates because everybody's playing with some sort of nick, some sort of bruise, some sort of thing that they're getting treatment on. But there's a point of diminishing returns. And anybody that's closely watching on the Redskins sideline clearly should have saw that he wasn't an effective player. It just so happens that he was hurt, injured, and all of the other things. So you didn't have an option on the sideline. If I'm his backup, then I understand that you want to try to leave him out there a little bit longer. Cousins has shown that he can play and have moderate success. You had a 14-point lead, stand on the table and say, hey guys, this guy put us here. I need you guys to bring it home. Don't put him out there and now he may have more damage to his knee, we hear. Maybe PCL, maybe ACL partial tears. Then people are going to have a lot of explaining to do.
We have to go. I'm hungry.
I'm starving.
Last question for Jalen. Anytime we do a 3-man, I think we just throw one last question at Jalen that he probably won't answer.
I'm in.
Michael Jordan's flu game, 1998. Flu or hungover?
When you go to one of your favorite restaurants, you can order things single, a la carte, or you can order a combo meal.
I love when you answer questions like this.
I would think that was a number 3.
What?
A combo meal.
What? Okay. If I'm a little bit under the weather, I'm staying home.
Not if it's game 6 or 7.
What just happened?
He answered it, but he didn't answer it. It was great. We're going to leave the podcast. Jalen and Jacoby, thank you for being on the Beer Sport. We should mention you guys have your own podcast that people can subscribe to. We should mention that Jalen and I have an NBA show that runs on
NBA
ESPN,
Countdown,
ABC.
Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Jalen and Jacoby. It seems like based on the schedule, we're going to start doing Thursdays more often.
Fridays, yeah.
Thursdays or Fridays.
So we have an NBA show tomorrow, Wednesday night, that I will not be on. We have another show on Friday night that I will be on.
Bill has to do appearances. He's a TV star now.
Yeah, whatever. And then starting on January 27th, we start ABC. I think we have 9 more ABC games on those Sundays, which
right
will
after
be very
that Celtics.
Have you been saving good suits for the ABC?
I have.
I don't want you to waste all your suits on cable.
I'm going to be cleaning in a Board of Health on ABC.
Good.
Back then, we'll see you tomorrow on the BS Report.
Yes, indeed.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.